there, welcome to the show. Today I'm talking about Old Canada, which is a new film by Paul Schrader, which is in a run of Schrader films that he's been doing the last few years where he's on a roll. He's hit a certain age and it's like, I'm going to try to make as many films as I can just now while I can. It's that kind of thing where Schrader had a period in the 2000s, 2010s where he found it hard to get films made. The films he made, some were successful, some were not, but his type of filmmaking wasn't hip, so he found it difficult to get productions funded. From First Reformed onwards, he suddenly had this groove spot. If he keeps the budgets low and he gets good actors in the lead, he can get the minimal budget he needs to shoot a film in like 20 days or something. And since he's been doing this since the 80s of doing these films on low budgets, he knows how to do it. He knows how to shoot certain things simply, effectively, to get his idea across. And he knows basically what he can afford, what he can't afford, so to adjust to whatever he's got going for him. I bring this up is because for a film that is low budget and shot in 19 days, this film looks really good. This film has a lot of ambition. It goes in, it changes ratios, screen ratios. It changes the colour stock at times. It does everything possible to show the artificiality of filmmaking and the kind of how memories can get messed up and how you see life through film conventions in lots of ways, especially if you're a filmmaker. Or if someone who does fiction, you start to see life through fiction. So he uses all of this technique that would probably need a bigger budget, but does it on a low budget because he knows what he's doing. He knows how to write the script, prepare the script, and then shoot it very effectively to get what he needs. Which means the film looks a lot more expensive than it actually probably cost. So it didn't cost much at all. And it also means as if the film comes out and doesn't do amazingly well on the cinema release, which a lot of his films don't, when it hits digital, it'll make its money back. It's going to be fine, and there's lots of producers who are involved, so everybody puts in a little bit of money to it. So no one's losing out a lot if it doesn't get all its money back. So Schrader just does his films. He's already done another film since he shot this one. So he's going to clip. And the fact is, I've liked all the films he's made during this period. I think he's really kind of the fact that he's only so much time left has really focused him to just do the films, that are clear in his head, just to do whatever film gets financed, and he's very focused on making that work. In a way, in the past, he would sometimes bend to trends, and sometimes get messed about by his own ego, his own idea of, I can be a conventional director if I want to be, which he never could. He was always too interesting for that. But a lot of the kind of films he was being weakest on is when he had to hire stars that were not right for the parts, just to get the financing. He seems to have managed to avoid that a lot recently. So, in this one, it's called Old Canada. It's about American documentary director who moved to Canada in the late 60s as a protest of the Vietnam War. That's what he says in his bio. But the reality as in life is always more complicated. It's never quite what people see. This is why I did this. Especially someone who makes a living out of editing footage and presenting footage. They know how to edit their own lives, know how to edit their own responses to actually, to be comfortable in their own skin. And this is something he's learned over the years. But at this point, he's dying, and he's now in flashbacks to his past, but basically with him the last day of his life, and he's already arranged to have a documentary crew come in so he can explain parts of his life. And essentially his wife, played by Uma Thurman, doesn't want this. Richard Gere plays the old guy and Jacob Elordi plays the a younger guy. And even though they're very different heights, the casting works because they're never in the same shot together, and you just get a sense of Elordi's almost like his idea of what he was rather than the reality. You know, you can imagine him Elordi being like the kind of Tyler Durden version of his past. The guy who's a bit cooler than he probably really was in life. So, essentially, as Gear tells his life, he starts to fall back into reverie of what his life was, and so you go back into seeing Elordi as the young Gear, dealing with a family, dealing with a career he didn't want, and dealing with expectations on him he doesn't want. And basically, he's trying to be a writer, but he's not working well. It just doesn't. It's not for him. He doesn't have the stamina for a writer, really. Writers are a certain breed. You might want to be one, but it doesn't mean you're going to be one. There's lots of things about being a writer that's different from the normal person. And he realises he doesn't have that in him. He still wants to do it, but he doesn't have an originality to him. And he's feeling trapped in a life in the late 60s, where he's got everything he really needs. I mean, he's got like a job as a lecturer waiting for him. He's got an offer to help run a company that would make him a lot of money. It would bore the hell out of him. So he's got everything going for him, but he's not satisfied at all. And you're basically going back and forth between the time of him deciding to leave for Canada and why he left and why he was going back and forward about leaving, and then how he abandoned his own family to leave. And you're looking back in that and try to make sense of it. But you've also got a voiceover from the son that was abandoned, and he's trying to make sense of his father as well. So you've got lots of perspectives, essentially showing you that there's different perspectives to everything, but also how, even for a narrative, there's a sense of everyone's telling their story the way it suits them. So Gear would tell his story in the past but he joined for political reasons, and now as he's dying he wants to be honest, which also suits him even though it doesn't suit everyone else, because no one wants honesty. And also he's dying, he has none to lose, and he's a bit bitter about certain things as well. So he's a little bit cruel to people in a way that probably wasn't in the past. Maybe he was probably more subtle in the past about it, but also doesn't do anyone any good. So you have this sense of the old guy's not the idealised version of Gear's character. The old character is someone who's just as selfish as the younger version. He's trying to be honest about how selfish he is, but he's almost so self-aggrandizing and selfish that it's like it's another play he's doing on himself and on who he is. And the idea is, can you be honest with yourself, or do you have all these mechanisms within you that will protect you from your past, whether it be an imagined past where you were a bit hipper than you probably were, where you're probably more political than you really were, where you can talk about certain things and discuss certain friends of yours that went wrong over time, and just generally have this idea of yourself that's kind to yourself in a different way, in various different ways, or can you actually be truly honest? And the only time in this film that Gear is honest is when he's pretty much on his deathbed and he can't talk anymore, really. Because the rest of the time he's still spinning, even in the last days, when he's trying to be honest but he just can't. And that's just this sense of Schrader being aware of his own flaws and putting it through this character, who does do horrible things. I mean, he does abandon his wife with her son, but his wife's rich. The thing is, it's like, well, yeah, she's emotionally damaged by his actions, but she's rich, she'll get over it. The son has more of a trauma. The son's more like we see his sin coming through. And how that proceeds, I won't say. You've got to see the film. But this film is really about this idea of honesty and how honest are you. there are flashbacks to Gear when he's talking, because the filmmakers are coming to do the documentary of his life, where his students once, and he taught them how to be a documentary director. But they also learned a lot of his bad habits. Like, he attached himself to Uma Thurman, who was his wife, to be his partner in the filming industry, because she was kinder, and he could use that to hide the darker side of his personality, which he found his students do the same. Michael Imperioli plays the director of this film about him, who has won an Oscar, but has his own manipulation issues. He's also hooked up with a fellow student who's warmer, who can take away some of his kind of darker sides. And there's a fun scene in the past where you're teaching them as students, and you get all the actors, Uma Thurman, Michael Imperioli, whatever you call his name, I'm terrible with pronunciations, and they're all in younger age makeup, but it's a memory, and the film didn't even try and hide the fact this is a memory. It's like, this is where Gear remembers them being as, rather than what they actually were like. It's not trying to fool you in any way. It could have done, if it had money, it could have done the CGI thing, but it'd have looked just fake. It just takes this idea of this is his memory, and it's self-serving. So the film is wonderful. I've liked other Schrader films more, but this one really is a good late era Schrader film. It really delivers on this idea of what is your life, what it's about, what does your past mean to you, and it does it all in an hour 40, which is quite a relief when you get some films that hit 3 hours without an idea. And this one got tons of ideas and does it in an hour 40, which is refreshing. So I highly recommend All Canada. Just go see it. It's wonderful. So that's me for now. I'll see you later.